Good morning, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is 9:45 on the AM dial, and you know what that means? It's time for Java with Jen. Java with Jen. That's right. I'm Jen Koken, your favorite executive leadership coach, working exclusively with women in STEM and their teams to help them lead with more authority, aka lead like themselves, lead with more influence, aka inspire their team to greatness and leave a legacy they can be proud of. Shameless plug for my book. If you haven't gotten it yet, there's still time because it's on the shelves and it's still trending on Amazon and some of the top books in career advancement and professional development. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here all month, I've had the wonderful pleasure of having Jess Sato on with me all month long. She is a visibility and business growth strategist. She has been a TEDx, a TED Talk speaking coach, but specifically she works with social impact driven leaders, high achieving women, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to help them take their thought leadership and turn it into something that really makes a difference in the way they want that difference made. She has a signature framework called the BOLT framework, which she talked about a little bit on the last episode. You might hear her talk about it again on this episode. I think it was last one. Maybe it was the one before. I don't know. We've had such fun all month chatting together. Let me bring her in so you can meet her in person. Here we go. Yay. Welcome back, Jess. So good to have you here again. Yeah. Yay. Man, it's been so much fun having this conversation all month. And so folks know later on today, it's June 25th. So 1 p.m. my time, 11 your time, Jess and I are going to be together for a whole hour for the Empowering Experts series on the confidence code and what that looks like. We started session one or at beginning of the month. My God, it's end of June. I don't know where the time went. Talking about what's a big idea. We talked about, well, what do you do with it? Last week was all about women feeling scattered and stuck. And those are the women that you work with quite a bit. And we touched on alignment and why that matters. Today, we wanted to kind of round the corner on the session and talk about alignment as a power strategy. What does that look like on the court if I'm implementing alignment? What does that mean? And let me just make sure that I have the specific question, if that was it, because I know we teased out some questions. Yeah, the term alignment is thrown out a lot. Mm-hmm. But what does alignment as a strategy actually look like in a business? Or in a business, like if somebody owns the business or they're leading in a business.
Yeah. Oh, I love this question a lot. So I want to acknowledge that I think, a lot of people use the word alignment, they talk about alignment, and it can, it's sort of like authenticity in this way. It can kind of feel a little bit frou-frou or overdone. But to me, like we talked about last week, I feel really strongly that when we are in alignment, that it allows us to show up in such a powerful way, whether that's as a business owner, whether that's a leader within a company, wherever you are. So from a business owner perspective, what I often see happen when we are functioning from a place of alignment, we are clear on our big idea. We are clear that we are the right person to be talking about this big idea. And the result of that is content creation ease. It is sort of this energetic thing that happens. It's like, oh yeah, I'm passionate about talking about this thing. And I want to make sure that I am, using it as part of a force for good. It allows us to have sales conversations or performance conversations from a place that feels a lot easier and less, I don't know, controversial or salesy or whatever. Because now we're doing this because we deeply believe in the thing that we're talking about. We are passionate about helping people succeed, whatever that might look like. So, alignment can take a lot of forms, and the manifestation of it can take a lot of forms. But to me, it's really like this sense of ease and comfort that we feel inside, right? I use this example a lot where I have this plant that sits next to my desk, and I call this plant Mitch. And Mitch,
that's my brother's name.
Okay, weird. So Mitch the plant.
Mitch, what are you doing over there in her office?
So, Mitch the plant for many years. I've had this plant for 20 years. I got it after my dad passed away. And I took a look at it one day and I thought, man, Mitch is really not growing and thriving in the way that I feel like he should be. And then I realized that Mitch was like still in the same pot that I had planted him in many years ago. And the the feeling of that is sort of like this root bound, tight box feeling that we're in, where it doesn't quite fit anymore, whether that's our role, whether that's the perspective that we have been trying to share, but doesn't feel authentic to us anymore. In the business, that could be like, yeah, the business is working, but I don't totally love the way it feels and I don't love how I feel or show up in it. So this sense of alignment allows you to have ease and
Mm,
comfort so that you actually feel like you're thriving as
yeah.
opposed to just existing in this like tight container or box.
I love that because the word authenticity is thrown around a lot too. And from the way I define authenticity, the way you define alignment, we are actually talking about the same thing, which I didn't
Mm,
realize. And this is why I love having these conversations. Because
okay.
when you look at, so I always talk about women leading with authority, and I never mean
Mm,
power. I
right.
mean having such confidence and comfort in their own skin. They feel like they have this taproot sunk so far into the ground that they're
Mm,
really, I'm going to say it this way, when somebody comes at us with something, we're not reevaluating ourselves based on societal norms. We're reevaluating ourselves in relation to ourselves. So if
mm,
you look at the root word of author, authenticity, authority, AUTH is the Greek word for self.
love
And
that.
when I think about alignment, I think about those tumblers in a lock of just like, so
Yep.
everything is about me staying true to myself. But we first have to think about, well, who's the me that I'm referencing?
Yeah.
Because so often, whether you're a man or a woman, you're given these roles in society. Were you an athlete? Were you a
Mhm,
band geek? That was me. Were you a nerd? Were you the
mhm,
oldest, the
mhm.
youngest? What are the expectations in your family from you that we're trying to figure out? That people pleasing piece comes in, the chameleon comes in.
Yeah.
And I feel like the alignment and authenticity, we're talking about the same thing, that when
Mhm.
we are aligned with who we are, that it just feels natural and we
Yeah.
do feel confident. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that analogy, I'm totally stealing this, by the way, of those locks, the tumblers and the locks. What really stood out to me is like when everything is in alignment, right? It allows it to open
Mm,
as opposed to just be walking around locked off. And like you said, there's something that happens when you do that. And that's not, I think one of the things that, you know, I was going to say, I think people think it's easy. Actually, I don't think they think it easy. It's easy, but it, when you know that you're about to do some hard work, right? This kind of work is not just like, you know, let me
yeah.
grab my notebook and write something down, or let me do this exercise and boom, I'm aligned, right? This is ongoing work.
Yep.
Um, and as leaders and business owners, like this is the calling, right? To continually do the work of figuring out how to twist this dial a little bit, to twist that dial a little bit, to keep the lock open.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's really important to do that in order to tap into that inner authority that you're talking about so that you can show up in whatever space you happen to be in a really, really powerful way.
Yeah. And as someone who just turned 60 in August, don't wait to do that stuff. Like I
No.
waited. I think about it's not, I feel like I wasted years or anything like that, but I exiled so many parts of me that I thought weren't
Mm,
welcome in the political world, that weren't welcome in the energy
mm,
industry, that weren't welcome in these, male dominated spaces, my femininity, my intuition, my emotion.
mm.
And man, oh man, we need all those parts of us
Yeah,
being brought and being loud and proud about all those parts of us, all of us who identify as women. We
yeah.
need all those pieces. The more we can be true to ourselves,
Mhm.
the more we create space for others to do the same.
Yeah. One of the things, I know you mentioned the BOLT framework, and I just want to pull back to this because I think it's really important to address what you said and to really honor it. Like we do feel like we have to compartmentalize our experiences, that we can't bring all of us to the table. And I know in a previous conversation, we talked about how, people do honor that when you show up and you bring the fullness of who you are, there is an honoring that happens. And that's one of the reasons why when I am working with clients and we're talking about your big idea and how to bring that to the table from a visibility perspective, the O in that is all about original. It
Mm,
is the thing that makes you and your perspective unique. It
yeah,
pulls from those experiences. So those little compartments that we, have boxed ourselves into, like those actually are critically important to the whole alignment conversation. So, if you've been doing that, if you're like, oh, I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore, look, this is your invitation to bring it all,
bring it
because
on.
all of it is what made you who you are right now and what allows you to show up and shine in a really, really powerful way.
Absolutely. And from my perspective, that's where the executive presence accelerator,
Oh,
deeper coaching
big
kicks
time.
in, because alignment isn't passive. It is how a legacy is built in real time. And women who align their voice, their vision, and visibility are the ones who
Mhm.
shift culture, right?
Boom. Yes.
So, friends, this isn't about being someone else. It's about being undeniably yourself. So, join Jess and I in just a couple of hours, 1 p.m. Eastern, for the Confidence Code session of the Empowering Expert Series. You'll walk away with more than insights. We promise,
Mhm.
because Jess and I love working together. You will walk away
Yes.
changed. You'll walk away with
Yes.
a brand new perspective about yourself, about life, about what you're up to.
Mhm.
Once we get out of here, I will put the link to register in the comments that you can get in there. So please join us today at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Jess, it has just been so fun having you here all month. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, friends, ciao, ciao for now. It's Java with Jen and Jess.